Hello, everyone. This is Attorney Farrah from Kazi Law Offices, and today I have a very special guest. I have my friend who is also an attorney in New York and New Jersey area, and this is Auguy Mangoni, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Auguy, can you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what we're going to be talking about today?
Hi, everyone. This is Attorney Auguy Mangon, and here we are talking about the crisis that we having with the unaccompanied minors crossing the border.
Okay, so if you have been paying attention to my videos, and last week I had talked about this really awful case in which a young girl had crossed the border and had come in with her father, but then was treated as an unaccompanied minor, meaning that she didn't come in with an adult, and then was promptly deported and kidnapped by the cartel. Isn't that correct?
Yes. She's actually the daughter of one of my clients. She's applying for asylum. And even though she tried to get a hold of her daughter right away and the father, by the time she got any information from them, it was actually from the cartel asking them for money to produce her daughter.
Okay, so tell me, how old was the daughter?
She's 13 years old.
And she came in with her father.
Yeah.
So she did everything right. And she asked for asylum when she came here because they were escaping the cartel. Is that correct?
They actually from Honduras,
Mm-hmm.
escaping the violence that many of our clients are escaping.
Yeah.
In the gangs from the country. And whenever the kids hit a certain age, they become a target to either join the gangs, participate in the activities on levels, or in the case of girls, to become the girlfriends.
Yeah. So this is something that a lot of people who do not work in the area that we do, like obviously we work in immigration law, so we see this day in and day out, but a lot of people don't know that these are the sad realities of many, many of our clients that are coming, especially from Latin American countries. And one of the biggest problems is this, this epidemic of gang control and cartels that are taking over all the different areas of the countries and really terrorizing local citizens, right?
Absolutely. One of the most dangerous spaces for minors in Central America is actually the schools. They stop going to school just for to stay safe, because that is a very active place where gang members try to recruit them, intimidate them, attack them, rape them. I mean, it's extremely, extremely dangerous to go to school as a teenager in Central America.
And so many times when I talk to critics, and I kind of take the time to try to talk to critics just to see exactly what are the problems that people are having with immigration laws. Because every election year we'll hear, our immigration system is broken and we have too many immigrants, or we have this. And depending on which side of the spectrum you are, it's either saying that we've got too many or that we don't have enough. And I always talk to these critics and they'll say things to me. They'll say, well, why do they have to come to here just to escape these cartels? Why can't they just say no to them? And that always tells me that they don't have a full understanding of just how pervasive this problem is, because there is no saying no to them. It's either do as we say or get raped or killed, right? I mean, there's really no other options in between. Wouldn't you agree?
It is a very complex issue, and we are very privileged to live in a country where we are completely ignorant on all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine sending my children to school and having to worry about them being attacked, being exposed to drugs, being exposed to violence. So that doesn't only apply to school, it applies to your neighborhood. It applies of you like going out after 5 o'clock.
Yep.
For an emergency, you're just not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
So we live in a very different world, and it's really hard for people to really understand what's going on the Central American families. Um, but the best way is to get educated and understand a little bit better what their situation is.
And I always tell people, I say, before you criticize, take the time to really research and to actually learn from the people who are actually experiencing it. I mean, take the time to actually talk to them and find out what they're suffering from. Because anybody who is willing to pack up their home, pack up their life, leave, their birthplace, and then make this very dangerous, unpredictable journey into a completely foreign country with a foreign language, they're obviously doing it because they don't have any other option. It's not a vacation spot. It's not a vacation, a journey that would be like a vacation for anybody.
Yes, and it's also really important, regardless of what your position is toward immigration and toward the immigration from Central America, to ask questions like why. I mean, like,
Always ask why. Yeah, for sure.
Because we cannot just go by what one source of news or one position is telling you. Just try to have a little bit common sense and just ask yourself why. Why are they doing this? Why are they exposing their lives? I mean, they even, when they cross the border, you hear a lot of people that know much about the situation. You hear like, oh, but why they crossing the border? They're trying to sneak in. They don't try to sneak in. They go straight to the immigration authorities. Like, here we, please help us. So it's not like they trying to cross and like, oh, you don't know I'm here. No, they want the immigration authorities to know that they're here and for help, and they immediately ask for asylum, and they immediately explain their situation.
And that's what I always say in these videos too, and just in person as well. I always tell people, because people always equate this like, oh, they did something wrong, they did something illegally. No, this is a legal way for you to enter the country. They literally go up to immigration, they present themselves, they present whatever documents they have, they give their full name, they allow themselves to get photographed, fingerprinted, sent to a detention center if they need to. They do everything according to the process. And they ask for asylum, which is a universally accepted way for you to try to get into another country. So, so this narrative that we have, where that they were doing it incorrectly or that they're doing it legally, is not right. It's not the true story.
Exactly, and they also give the authorization to have all sorts of medical exams, or that they don't pose any kind of medical risk for Americans. And they also willing to stay in these detention centers and youth centers that in, even in the media, like the conditions of these places. They're willing to do all that. They to go through the process that we have created for them to come in here legally. So they're not looking to break the laws. They're not looking, they're just trying to escape where their life is in danger.
Yeah, and it's a desperate measure that's being done. So what happens when they come to the border? And this is something that a lot of times people don't realize. When they come to the border, they ask for asylum. Many times the families, now especially, in the last several years, we have had families be separated at the border. What that means is that previously families were put in detention centers, but they were at least being put in together. Now, if you have somebody like your client, the young girl gets put into a different facility. The father gets put into a different facility. If he came with the mother would be put into a different facility. That is so tremendously traumatic for these families, because now they've already gone through all the journey and now they have no idea where the other person is, right?
Yes, I actually had a client who were able to get him a special immigrant juvenile status. At one time I was meeting with him in a diner, and he smelled something, and I was like, oh, what happened? And he started getting an anxiety attack, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And he actually smelled I'm trying to think the name, and
say it in Spanish, it's okay.
It doesn't come to me in either language. oatmeal.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
In the detention center every morning, and he couldn't even smell oatmeal because it would give him an anxiety attack. I mean, that's how traumatic this experience could be for them, and they're willing to go through all of that just to get an opportunity to gain status in this country and to be safe. And going back to my client, the reason why they came to ask for asylum is because my client's case has been taking forever. As you're aware, the backlog with immigration court cases is absolutely out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Hope was that once she gained status, she could petition for her daughter. As her daughter's life was in danger, they're like, okay, let's try to reunite the family.
Right.
A very, very delicate situation. I had clients that had come here asking for asylum when they could have gone through a reunification family process to join their family members who are here. But because their lives are in danger, they cannot wait for 5 years or 7 years to come here through another means. So that is something else that people are usually not aware about.
Yeah, and this is something, I mean, this is such a common story for so many of our clients, right? Like right now, I am currently dealing with, among many other cases, but I have one case in particular where the couple came in, they came in with their 6-year-old little girl. The 6-year-old girl was put into a foster care system and treated as if she had come in alone. And despite the parents' repeated pleas, she was not put with either one of them. So the father was sent to Texas, the mother was sent to Arizona, the little girl was in California. So they really spread them out. And then we spent almost about 7 to 8 months I spent trying to get this family reunited. And unfortunately, before I could even get to the father, there was whatever it might have been, miscommunication or whatever it was. He ended up being deported. And so now he's back in Mexico. The mother's here, the daughter's somewhere else. And the father is getting repeated threats from the cartel that he has been fleeing. So you're right that now for him to wait another 5, 6, 7 years for his wife to be able to sponsor him after she goes through her own process, that's borrowed time that he has right now because he's under constant threat. He's in hiding. He's under a different name. He's going from apartment to apartment in the country. It's a very, very real issue for families. And I don't think people realize that until you actually see it firsthand and realize just how desperate they are to come here and then to be united together.
Yes, and this country is trying to place in Mexico. But like for instance, with my client here, she dropped off in a safe place. She was dropped off in the middle of the street where the cartel was just waiting, like, coming today. Who are we gonna kidnap today?
Yeah.
So pretty much the authorities here are feeding this international criminal organization that runs Mexico, or at least the border in Mexico.
I mean, you're right. They literally gave a person to the cartel to take, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. And the cartels, a lot of times people ask me this too. I mean, the cartels know. So they wait outside these airports or at the border because they know that people are coming right back to that area. So it's not very difficult for them to know exactly where to go. What about I want to go back to your client. So the mother must be tremendously distraught over here. And has she heard anything from her daughter? Is her daughter still with this cartel? Has she been released?
She has been receiving a very mixed kind of information about it. And I don't want her into talking to me. Is not ready for it. We try to mobilize and do what we could as fast as we could, but to prepare before, sometimes the legal steps you can take much longer and what the system does to handle this unaccompanied minors. And also, and we cannot just physically just show up and pick her up, and it's just impossible for us. So the steps and the tools we are given to fully represent this very vulnerable community is not enough. And the procedures and the way that immigration handles people at the border is very fluid.
Yep.
So 1 week is one way, the next week is another way. And it's extremely confusing, not only for our clients, but also for us. So
yeah, I mean, it's a ever-changing landscape, right? So every Monday we're kind of like, all right, what do we do now? So I do want to go through with people, for those that have family members or friends who are in a detention center, or who know that minors are coming across the border. I want to kind of talk a little bit about the steps that they should be prepared to do, because yes, there is a policy and there is a way, but let's see what we can do to give you guys some power and agency so that you can actually fight this and still be reunited with your family. So the first thing is that right now there is a policy that is in place that when a minor comes across the border, they are processed, booked, and oftentimes 9 times out of 10 deported right back to their country, all within the span of 24 to 48 hours, which means you do not have a whole lot of time. So if you are coming, even as a family unit, but you are coming with young children with you, be prepared to first know that you're going to go through a detention process, that you might be separated from your family. And 2, have the name of an attorney ready so that you can have somebody fighting for you as soon as you get in, because we don't have a whole lot of time. And as you know too, because you work in the same field as me, a lot of times we have to drop everything we're doing and we have to immediately, get into action in an emergency basis to kind of save our clients from being deported.
Yes. And it's very important that people out there know that this and it's very important to stay informed, and like you said, to be prepared. You cannot wait until that happens to figure out
because then it's too late. So if you don't have a plan in place, you don't have a whole lot of time, and you're already discombobulated and you're disoriented and you've gone through a long journey, and now you're being separated, and now suddenly you have to find a lawyer too. It's not going to work. So I urge people, that's the reason why I put this information constantly on my Facebook page. If you scroll through, there are a lot of not-for-profit agencies that can work with you, that can actually make sure that they have somebody ready to go to help you, to represent you in the court process or to stop a deportation. And obviously you and I do it as well. So people are more than welcome to give us a call as well. But we want to make sure that people realize that you don't have a whole lot of time. And the system is designed in such a way that you really can't do this without somebody representing you.
Yes. Unfortunately, that's not only the case for unaccompanied minors, but it's the case with
all of them. Yeah.
And even what people used to call very simple applications, marriage applications.
Yeah.
The system is in place that you need help or a professional.
Yes.
Not only understands the process, but also understands all the waves in immigration and all the ways that the process keeps changing.
And I also don't want you to think that there's no hope for you, right? I mean, there is a system in place if you get somebody to represent you. And I know that sounds terrible because so many times people say, oh, I want to save money and I want to just do it on my own. But unfortunately, we are not in that era anymore where you can do this by yourself. You really, really do need somebody there, whether that means that it's, that it's us, or whether it means that you're getting one of the agencies to help you, but get somebody to represent you, not a notario, but somebody who's actually equipped and trained to handle this for you.
Yes, I mean, you don't want to hire somebody who's a butcher to handle.
Yeah.
You only have one chance to do it right. And being in the hands of a professional who understands your case is the most important.
Definitely. And also this is your future and this is your life. So you want to make sure that you're doing it with somebody who's equipped to handle that. You know, just like you would go to a surgeon to handle a specific issue and you wouldn't go to a different type of doctor to handle, you know, if you had a cancer issue, you're going to go to the cancer specialist. You're not going to go to, you know, just an internist. So the same thing, you want somebody who's equipped to handle removal procedures, who can handle bond hearings for you, and who knows something about detention. And whether that's fortunate or unfortunate, I have had now several cases in the last 1 to 2 years involving minors in detention. And it was actually kind of a shock to me because it wasn't something that I necessarily want to be doing. I would love to have a world in which we don't have that problem, but we do. And so my youngest client was 2 years old and was separated from her mother for 7 months, put in a separate detention facility. I had another one that was 5 years old, 7 years old. I mean, I have very, very young children. So when you told me about this one with a 13-year-old girl, you know, my heart broke because it's so upsetting to me that first people don't know about this, that we have these policies and the system in place. And then on top of that, you know, these people, the struggles that they have gone through in their lives, and then to come here and to finally try to seek refuge and then just be like turned away as a child is very, very disturbing. I think I lost you for a minute there. So I'm going to keep going until we get Auguy back. But I think the biggest thing that we need to worry about, or the thing that I would like the take-home message to be, is that you do have some agency here. You have the ability to handle a lot of very, very stressful things, and you can pass that off to a professional to do it. And I want you to be able to ask to be released from a detention center, either through a bond hearing, B, to have the fighting chance for you to be able to fight your asylum case here in the United States without having to be deported. I want to be able to find other options for you if there are any, so that you come in, if you do a consultation, for example, with me or with Auguy, we would actually sit down and go through all of your options so that maybe, you know, asylum isn't the only option. Maybe you have other options and you're just not aware of them. Auguy, are you back? I can kind of hear you in the background. I think we lost camera. So I wanted to make sure that everyone understands exactly how the process works. Now, there are other options, like I said, and some of those options are if you're married to a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident here within the United States, you can still apply for other forms of relief. For example, you can apply for VAWA, for example, which is an amazing opportunity to come into this country, to stay within this country, to fix all of your paperwork, to do all of that stuff as well. If you are in the detention process, in a removal process, and you have only one case in front of you, it doesn't mean that you only have to have that case. And that's the amazing thing that I think a lot of times people don't realize either, because when I talk to clients, I'll be like, okay, we're gonna do 2 or 3 different like options for you. And people are always shocked because they think it's just like a one, all for one, and, you know, or nothing kind of a thing. And it's not. So I think we lost Auguy for a minute. She's trying to get back in, I think. So I'm going to see if it'll work. Auguy, are you back in?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can't see you, but that's okay. So I was just kind of going through, I was telling all of our viewers, I was letting them know that one of the things that we can do is that when you go through the detention process or you go through a removal procedure process, one of the great things that happens when you work with an attorney is that we can also look for other options available to you. And a lot of times clients don't realize that, like they think they don't have any options, or they only have one option, or they must go through, you know, this removal process. But I was just going through that, you know, sometimes what we'll do is we'll go through options with them, and we'll find out, for example, that that they're married to a U.S. citizen or a resident, or they have a work issue, or they have, you know, whatever it might be that might actually qualify them for other forms of relief as well.
Yes, it's very important to be screened by a professional
Mm-hmm.
who can advise you what options you have. You are coming from a different country where things are done very differently. Even other type of attorneys, whenever they have an immigration question, they get very confused about the options. They get very confused about the possibilities. So you can imagine that just regular people that don't know what is going on, that haven't been exposed to the process, it could be very overwhelming. So just having a consultation, just to begin with, to be able to be screened to see what kind of options you have, could be a lifesaver. And like we were talking about before, you don't have a lot of time to figure these things out. So just make the first step, get a consultation. You don't have to hire an attorney right away, but just consult with an attorney that could tell you what your options are.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think if there's any message here, the message is, one, I know it's a scary process. I know that this is a very desperate time for you and your family. There are many, many lawyers, many agencies that are specifically designed just to reunite families together and to keep you guys as close together as possible. It is our life's work to do that. And so let us be able to help you in this process if we are able to. And two, before you come in, try to have some plan in place so that you know exactly what needs to be done. And if you have other questions, or if as you're watching this you realize, oh, I have a family member who's been sitting in a detention center for so many months and I don't know if he or she can get out, there are ways to get them out. And all you have to do is pick up the phone and call us, and we can actually strategize with you to try to figure out a way to win their freedom and be able to allow them to fight their cases here in the United States.
Yes, absolutely. We are happy to help our immigrant community. We are happy to help everybody that is here looking for an asylum or other type of relief. We want people to be safe. We want people to have options. We want to help and enable everybody to be able to gain legal status and not to go back to the horror place that has put their life in danger.
So I just put up a banner here. So if you like, obviously you can check out Auguy's firm as well. She's on Facebook as well. She has a whole bunch of videos just like me. You can obviously give me a call. Auguy, if you want to share your phone number, we could put that here as well. But I urge you to please take the time to kind of see what you can do to protect your family so that we can reunite everybody, and that we don't have more stories like this awful story of a client who had to be deported and is now, with a cartel, and my heart goes out to her and her family. I hope that they're okay. So Auguy, do you want to, I think we lost Auguy, but what I'll do is in the comments, I'll put her phone number as well. And in the meantime, you can obviously call my office at 630-504-0648. Tiene algunas preguntas o otras preguntas de este proceso de detención o de finanza o alguna cosa, por favor, llámanos ahora 630-504-0648. Auguy, usted, por favor, dime su número también.
973-304-1770.
Okay.
304-1770.
Ok, y Auguy está en Nueva York, ¿sí?
Nueva Jersey.
Ok, perfecto. Muchas gracias, Auguy, por todo. Thank you so much for your participation and for, I know we had some technical difficulties, but we really got some really, really good information out. I hope that this is helpful to everyone. Give us a call, and I hope to do more of these so that we can actually get more of a conversation going.
Thank you so much for having me. This is my first live.
Yay, you did it.
And even though I'm a little bit shy, this is a very important topic. And I feel grateful to have the opportunity to inform the immigrants who are in need of this type of representation. And thank you so much for having me and for always be educating the community.
Yeah, you too. I mean, I know that this is a, like I said, it can sometimes feel like a lonely process, but it isn't. You have people here who are ready to fight for you and ready to work for you. And this is what we do day in and day out. This is, you know, this is kind of like our thing to do. So use our skills so that we can help you.
Absolutely. We're here for you.
All right. Adios a todos. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Adiós.
Adios.